Howdy, folks. Yeah, Brian, that was, oh, whoops, wrong chat there. There we go. That was a bit of a long clip. How y'all doing tonight? We're here with a special CQ chit chat tonight. We're going to be talking all about 2 meters. And if it looks like I'm looking down, I'm not. The camera's right here and the main monitor where everybody in just a second is going to be. Uh, all the usual stuff. Links are over in the chat. Feel free to, you know, have at them. We're going to take questions at the end. We're going to get through a handful of questions here with the roundtable, but I have a few fun quips to go along with it, and let's bring in the guests. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Frank.
Oh, yeah.
So, who has the kitty?
Not
I
me.
do. It's
Okay.
Fat Ollie. He's over here. He might come up. His tail might make an appearance.
Okay. So we have Mike, Mark, Dave from Frequency Frontiers, and everybody knows Steve at Temporarily Offline. And we're going to talk 2 meters today. And, as Mike says, leave no band behind. Right, Mike? See, you even got the right shirt on tonight for it.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. He needs a TO shirt.
Yeah, he needs a TO shirt. Or put Temporarily Offline and then leave no band behind right below that.
Leave TO behind.
What does your channel become when people start realizing that temporary is permanent?
It's been permanent since about 2006, so that ship has sailed. Actually, in the history of it, people didn't get the joke for, I don't know, a good decade. Like people, I would say, they'd say, "What's your email address?" I'd say temporarylyoffline@gmail.com, and they'd write it down. Like, not a thing. And then I want to say 2018 or so, people were like, "Oh, that's funny." Like they actually like connected the dots. So like, I've had this for a long time.
Nice.
Didn't it start with Temporarily Offline Retro Tech?
No. Temporarily Offline Retro Tech was an offshoot of the Temporarily Offline channel because YouTube doesn't like you to have two different subject matters in the same channel. And so I did that, and then I haven't had time to do anything on the Retro Tech channel for a while now. So, that channel still exists. It started because I used to have my own data center back in 1999. I used to host servers for people and charge them very little money for it. And once the big guys started getting into the data center business, like Google and Symantec and Equinix and places like that, I couldn't compete. It was a race to the bottom dollar for price tags. And so I sold that business. And when I sold it, I was temporarily offline. Like literally, I had no internet presence anymore at all. I lost, quote unquote. I sold it. I no longer had access to my email account or anything else. And I sat down in front of Gmail and I did the thing where you type in like 10,000 things and finally decide on one. And that was the one I decided on.
There you go. Dave from Frequency Frontiers, this is your first time on any live stream. So welcome. Thank you for coming on tonight. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Frequency Frontiers, my channel. My name's David, KY4GM. Have a really small YouTube channel. Actually have a decently followed TikTok channel. I do most of my content there. I'm all about pretty much anything amateur radio, HF, VHF, UHF. I've done it, tried it all. A lot of Incom stuff.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for coming on tonight. Did I hear a boondock echo?
Did I hear boondock echo?
I think so. Hi, Mark. Tell us a little bit about yourself as if nobody knows you.
Well, okay, sure. So my name's Mark. I've been a amateur radio operator since the mid-90s. I can never remember where. Frank and I even looked it up once, and I've since forgotten. But I want to say 95-ish, somewhere in there. Grew up in Southern California, still live in Southern California, started a little radio accessory doohickey called Boondock Echo, where we can transcribe, translate, do keyword recognition, all sorts of fun stuff with your radio traffic. So if you've got a need, or more importantly, if your employer does, check us out. We'd love to see you. We just got a couple hundred more units in stock. So hopefully the stock ticker will be up above 0. I will say I'm a little little under the weather. I got the flu shot earlier today, and for a brief period earlier, I got turned into a newt. But don't worry, I got better. So,
Well, you better get better in the next 3 days, because I will say this: Mark has a birthday in 3 days, so happy early birthday, Mark.
well, thank you, Frank. Thank you. So that was a quote from Monty Python, which apparently is not one of the quotable quotes for temporary offline. So she turned me
Maybe.
into a newt.
You could try it.
I got better. We'll go
You'll
back.
be stone dead in a minute.
Mike, N2MAK, good evening. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. Mike N2MAK is the YouTube channel. I do a lot of POTA, a little bit of soda, and I got this crazy little passion for the VHF contesting that I like to mix of both POTA and soda. So,
Well, that's why
me in Western New York is where I'm at.
That's why I figured you'd be one of the good guys to have on tonight. And I'm going to take a little tiny dig here, just out of fun for everyone. Clubhouse, that's how you do introductions in less than 10 minutes. No, I love their round the table stuff.
Less than 10 minutes, and that's including like the 3-minute clip you had in the beginning.
2.5 minute intro. I forgot it was that long. I apologize about that one. Jeez. I went, oh yeah, it's the right text, it's the wrong clip. So let's get into 2 meters. I have 18 fun questions. We're not going to get through all of them, but I have some fun questions. What is the weirdest or most unusual place you've ever set up a portable station in the city? It can be any city, it can be any portable station. It just has to be for VHF. And we'll just go around the horn. Whoever wants to go first, go, and then pass it on to someone.
Yeah, my weirdest one I've ever set up was doing a demonstration for the Boy Scouts here in Greenwood, South Carolina. Not thinking about it, not paying attention where I was at. I was in a grocery store parking lot, and I had my expedition out, and I threw up a 35-foot flagpole, a Comet, what's that, G3 antenna on top of it. Had that off back of my expedition, and was sitting there talking away to people, and the looks I got when people rode by was, were not comforting looks.
Yeah, that could be something. Absolutely. Who wants to go next?
I can. It's not that exciting. So I brought an arrow, and we did some satellite ops at a Hackaday conference in Pasadena a couple of years back. And that might not sound all that weird, but the part that just blew me away, being somebody who doesn't spend much time around these kind of folks, is there was a guy who was frozen in space on the sidewalk. Like he was walking and then suddenly he wasn't, but he was upright and able to maintain muscle tone. And he was on a drug, and I was thinking there was something medically wrong with him. So I just kept, like snapping my fingers in his face, hey buddy, until eventually he snapped out of it for like a second. He's like, please leave me alone. I'm like, that's probably a good call. And, we went and did our thing.
Time to QSY.
I don't know if that was the Fitbint or what that was, but he was definitely something. But yeah, we were out there and made a new friend whose name escapes me right now. McLeod. I don't know. I'd have to go look it up. But it was a really cool ham. And, we had a couple dozen people and we're talking to satellites. So that was kind of fun. Which is half of your question, because there's a little bit of UHF in there too. But
fair enough. Hey, it still counts.
Yeah.
Mike or T.O.?
Go ahead, Mike.
I don't have anything exotic. I do travel a lot for work parts of the year, and it's usually just, I'm in hotel rooms and stuff. But I've kind of, for the last year or two, tried to be consistent anytime I'm on the road, even if it's just with an HT. I always try to do APRS and WinLink from the hotel when I get settled in and stuff. Whether it's, I travel out to the city of Albany a lot, and whether it's out there or if I'm somewhere new, if it's a vacation or whatever, it's just kind of a habit I try to do a couple basic things. The hit a repeater or program a repeater manually. I always try to do that manually on the road, just to make sure you still have that muscle memory. APRS, WinLink, and I'll usually call out on 5.2 if I get a shot. And sometimes that's advantageous. You're up in a hotel if you're up high enough. But yeah, that's about it. Not, like I said, nothing too too adventurous, but it's. I think some of those basic things are helpful to do and kind of keep your skills fresh.
Well, something is better than nothing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
What about you, Steve?
I did an accidental 2-meter POTA one day. I was in Tucson, which isn't that far from where I am now, and I'll probably wind up going back there. And what happened was, I'm inside of this canyon in a national forest, and there's only like one way out, and that's the way I drove in. And my friends had invited me up to do a POTA, and I'm like, sure, no problem. And I figured we'd sit around a picnic table, we'd have one radio, we'd pass the mic, or we'd take turns, get our 10 in and call it a day. And these guys did it completely differently. They both brought radios, they both set up at different picnic tables somewhere in the park, and they POTA'd completely separately from each other. And I kind of sat there like, I don't know what to do now. But I'm in a park, and the only radio I had was the 2-meter Bredevis MA1, which is a 50-watt dual band radio, and it's got the what do you call it? The dual full duplex mode in it and everything. And well, I might as well give it a shot. And apparently Tucson's a happening enough place for ham radio that I was able to get the entire park activated just on 2 meters at 50 watts.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. That's a great way to do it for sure. So
I never would have tried it otherwise.
What antenna did you use for that?
Just the one that was on the truck. I've got a Radiodity.
Okay.
It's a PL259 mount, dual band antenna. Nothing special.
just the one on the truck.
Yeah, I was totally unprepared. I mean, I sat in the truck and I hooked the radio up to a battery and turned it on and got after it.
Nice.
And mine's somewhat similar, but here at Battery Spencer at the base of the Golden Gate Bridge, it's a POTA park. I set up, and this was, before I got my general license. So I set up, but after POTA had been a thing, I set up and I called Siki POTA on 5.2. Couple sad hams tried to run me off. I'm like, hey, no one else is using it. I'm gonna have fun, and I got my tin in and had fun with it, and never looked back again. And the sad hams, they went somewhere else and probably grumbled about me the rest of the day. So
I know that can be different in different parts of the country. I've heard stories where some people are like really reserved about using 5.2 for anything other than calling, and then you jump off. But I've done a number of 2-meter POTAs in my region, and everyone's always excited. Like, I'll usually promote them in advance most of the time, and people are just excited to get like simplex activity and to see things getting used.
So here's the thing about that, and I want to deep dive this a little tiny bit here, get everybody's thoughts on it. We all know that there's multiple simplex channels, 146.52, 54, 58. There's the Soda Adventure frequency, and so on and so forth. If it were more popularized, we could set up, say the Adventure frequency 14658 as the POTA Soda Adventure frequency, but nobody knows about it. They all stick to 5.2 and then complain that the band is dead, that the frequency's dead.
Oh, there's so much more to 2 meters than that. Yeah.
Oh, I know, but how can we change that? Because that I think is one of the big things that needs changing.
I got a couple of easy answers for you.
Yeah.
This is going to come as a shock to all 4 of you guys. Well, 3 of the 4 of you guys. Mark, I know you have a channel, but it's not like your main focus. Make a video doing something on 2 meters that isn't 146.52 or APRS or WinLink. Do something different. Spread the word.
That's a good way to do it. Mike, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I when people talk about bands being dead, it's like 6 meters, right? There's openings all the time. It's a matter of, are people calling or trying? And I think a lot of hams may, you got your radio in your car and you're driving around and you got your repeater on the A channel, and then on the B, maybe you have 5.2, but you're not calling out. You're just listening and stuff. And so whether you're doing FM work or you're doing weak signal or anything, and I think the same goes for 6 meters. It would go for 2 meters. Like, you need to actually call out and make some noise. Get out there and call. I try to do that when I do POTAs. Sometimes it's with a mobile, sometimes with HT, but I'll at least call out usually when I'm setting up or taking down. And sometimes you get people that come back to you, sometimes you don't. One time when I was doing it, and I was at a site that's also a soda as well, so I had some elevation. I was up about 1,500 feet, and I called out as I'm walking back to the car. I got a ham who had just got his license, and it was his first Simplex contact. I was his first contact, just because I was calling out on 5.2. The guy was like, I just passed my test last week. This is the first time I've like had a contact other than a repeater. This is crazy, you know? And it's like, you don't know unless you try. So
Exactly. And that's a good contact to have.
exactly. Yeah.
Do you think it's that simple that you've got, because like that first week ham, the chances of him initiating the contact are so slim. He's going to be mic shy, right?
He was listening. That's like the first step. He at least was listening on 5.2. And
But
that's the first thing.
All of the dead band people, do you think they're just sitting there listening for somebody else to speak first?
Probably.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of gotchas.
And just wait for somebody to say something. Then they'll fuss. Then it'll be dead again.
Right.
There's a couple of gotchas on 2 meters, though. A lot of people will say like KM9G listening or KM9G monitoring. Well, great. Number one, that's so short that if I'm across the room doing something else, I can't hear it because I'm across the room doing something else. And number two, you just said you were listening. You didn't say you wanted to talk. You didn't say you were up for a contact. You didn't call CQ, which is completely legal to do on 2 meters. It's just something that people tend not to do. If you're in a busy area, a lot of people are hanging out on a repeater, you can say that and maybe somebody will jump in, but you didn't ask anything. You know, like it's a hobby about communication, not necessarily about over the air communication, but person to person communication, and talk like you're talking to somebody who you would like to have a conversation with, not just, hey, I'm listening in case anybody else wants to say something instead of me.
The other issue with that too is, you know, oftentimes I'll have a radio scanning, you know,
And
a
if
few
it's
different
so
repeaters.
short, yeah, if it's so short, you don't hear it.
Or if I do hear it, I'm hearing the ing, and then it's on to
Right.
something else. I'm like,
So, like when I'm traveling out to Stockton or down to Bakersfield or down to Mark in LA or whatever, I don't go down the interstate. I take the state route. I go down what we call the back way. It's State Route 99, cuts down the center of the state. Basically, it's slower, but it's more it's more relaxed. And about every 5 minutes or so, I'll go KG6, and I'll tell you, traveling down 99, calling out from Kingston, California, who's out there on 5.2 looking for a contact. I draw it out, make it nice and long. That way,
Yep.
anybody in scan mode, anybody across the room, anybody that has the volume half up, they see something and they can turn the volume up and they go, "Oh, hey, there's someone on 5.2 I can talk to."
Yeah, and I want to go back to Tio's comment about making a video and doing something and whatever, because one of the most impactful contacts that I had was I set up to do a 2 meter POTA that I promoted on the repeaters locally in advance and online, and I'm going through and there's people waiting, a little bit of a pile up in the beginning, and then I hear somebody say park to park, and I was like, what? And I was like, wait, is that a park to park? And the guy comes through, K1VHZ Jack, and he's like, oh yeah, he goes, I saw what you were doing and it kind of inspired me to go out. So he went out to a 3-fer a couple towns over and decided to go, and he's like, hey, you're on 5.2. He's like, so I'll go to 5.5 and I'll be there. And so that now the locals had 2 people out at parks, one at a single and one out at a 3-fer, both on 5.2 and 5.5. And it was all because, I did something, and it encouraged others to do that and stuff. So
Nice.
it can go a long ways if you make a video or talk it up in a club locally or something like that. And now there's people doing it regularly. Now I don't want to say regularly, but it's not uncommon to see 2 meter activations where I am.
But Tio was saying do something different. because we've got videos of park to park. We've got videos of, the common things. What were some uncommon things you were thinking of?
Like 2-meter sideband. I've done it once, and that was only in listen mode.
How about 2-meter CW?
That's getting real popular now with the
Yes.
Quanchang CW mod.
Well, I mentioned that partially because I'm actually taking the step to learning CW. I have
Awesome.
a little bit down now. But Matt says just not CW on 520. No, Matt, you're wrong. CW on all the frequencies. Just it doesn't matter.
At
Let
once.
Sam speak about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you want to try 2-meter sideband, I made my first 2-meter sideband contacts during a VHF contest. And I did it doing my first soda. A friend had just gotten a 705, which is now my 705. He has since sold it to me. But and it was my very first YouTube video. It's a little YouTube short. I went out with my son, who's got his general, and then my buddy. And you hear us say, like, we wanted to try 2-meter sideband. We figured, let's go do a soda. Let's do it during a contest weekend when there's going to be activity. I made just speaker wire dipoles, real basic things, and we had a blast. And these contests, they go on. The big ones are 3 times a year: January, June, and September. Those are all good times. But there's also smaller contests. There was just a 2-meter sprint. I think in the beginning of this week, it might have been Monday or Tuesday. Not as much activity, but if you look at some of these contest calendars, it's good opportunity in the VHF space to know when there's going to be more activity, and that's a good time to try something new.
Now, I also want to share this real briefly. This actually came up last night on Coffee and Ham Radios. We were trying to figure out what the biggest spectrum was per band. 2 meters has 4 megahertz of spectrum that we can use, and that is the largest VHF frequency spectrum we can. 6 and 2 both have 4 megahertz we can use. So there's no excuse of, we don't have enough room. There's 4 megahertz of room there. I mean, granted, some of it's taken up by repeaters, but
yeah.
How can you not have enough room and have a dead band at the same time?
That's what I want to find out.
Lazy hams.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is anxiety. I remember it when I was new. I was afraid to key up. I'm not anymore. I don't give a crap anymore. But I wonder if there's a way to help people get over that. The gamification sure helps. The contesting sure helps. People want to win. But just for rad chewing, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be that you would go to your local club and you'd find an Elmer and somebody would help you out. And when I got started, it wasn't that way. There wasn't a whole lot of people that were there. I mean, there were people that would help, but I don't feel like it's the same as it used to be. Like, like your father, your grandfather, your uncle, somebody close friend or something like that would take you under their wing and show you all the ropes. And then you would go get your license, and then you would get on the air with your own call. But you had been on the air for years. And I'm imagining this. I've never known it to be true, but I'm hoping this is the way it used to be, like in the 50s and 60s or so.
Well, I'll say this. In 2002, I've been licensed. The end of this week, I've been licensed for 23 years now. In 2002, I had no Elmer. What I did is I came from the scanner world. I was listening to Railroads on Scanner, because I'm a longtime rail fan. Everybody knows this now, Railroader. I was listening to Railroad. One day we were driving around the bay, and I punched in on the Radio Shack scanner. I punched the shortcut for HAM. Well, I had no idea what it was. I started hearing this 2-meter repeater here in the area. And so I then went to the library, did the research, had the librarian help me, got Gordon West books, studied myself, got tested at the local club, and then I already had a radio because I was listening to Railroad with it. It was HTX 252. And I went, okay, so now what? Nobody offered to help me with anything. No one offered to take me under their wings. So me being me, I'm a self-taught learner for everything for the most part. I'll reach out for help when I need it, but otherwise I try to teach myself everything. I taught myself everything I knew. and that's how I got on air. And you guys know I'm not mic shy. That's one of the things. That's one of the big things I think is an issue. Is the mic shyness is only with certain people. Uh, as uh, as Patrick here says, he used to teach for tech license and would make people talk on the FRS radios. So many were scared to do so. So that way, start them on something simple and easy like FRS or GMRS radios, and get them talking. And then once they're like that, it's like, oh hey, this is an easy transition over to ham and 2 meters.
You know what I've noticed a lot with some people that I've been trying to nudge towards the amateur radio route through our local Firewatch. They're really afraid about doing it wrong, about using the wrong protocol, about saying something, and using the wrong. They want me to write them out a script, and I'm like, dude, okay,
You
here
can't
you
do it
go.
wrong.
There's
Just-
no script.
Yeah, there isn't, but they're worried about it. I don't know. I think maybe there's, Frank's got the right way. Just get on the radio, turn it into a game, make it fun, and they're like, okay, now let's go try to talk to somebody a little bit further away. You want to talk to somebody on Catalina Island? You want to talk to somebody up north? See what you can do.
All right. Let's go on to another question here. What's the funniest gear failure you've had mid-operation? We've all had that happen,
Fun
right?
gear failure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, oh no, I forgot to charge the battery up. That's a funny gear failure.
I'm pretty good about listening on A and talking on B, when I shouldn't be.
That's a good one.
But
The very first MCOM class I ever taught was down here at one of the local federal parks, Star Fort National Historic Site. And I, loaded up my antenna, my mast, and all these things because I'm a cool guy. I'm trying to teach these people how to do this. And I get out there and realize I don't have a battery. I'm 20 miles away from my house in the woods. And now these people have a 12-volt battery. And I ended up getting mad walking up to my truck, taking the battery out of it, and toting that battery 3/4 of a mile to where we were at so I could use the radio.
Oh,
And then realizing I had to tote it all back. First and
what do you have
last time.
students for?
that's one of them. Mike, what about you?
I don't know. It was more frustrating, but it was also it was funny because it kept happening, and it was like, oh. So I was trying to work satellites when I was in New Hampshire recently for the 24-hour POTA with the Live Free and Ham crew, and I've yet to work the satellites. I've been trying. I listened to a pass today, and I just didn't have time to get in. I'm still learning, but I'm trying, right? And I'm not afraid to fail. So I kept keying up, and I was using an Alinco DJ G7, which is a tri-band full duplex HT and elk antenna. And I've been using the Alinco for a couple years, but I just bought it earlier this year. And there's a big VHF group out in Western New York and Southern Ontario, and there's plenty of hams with lots of gear that during the contest they're like, hey, take it, go out, work extra bands, and that's kind of how I got into it. But I eventually caved and just bought it because I knew I wanted to try satellites and it'd be good for that. Now, these are older, they're out of production, they're unobtainium. And it worked fine in the January contest, and in the June contest. But I'm not on 1296 a lot. I'm just making a few contacts here and there. And that's about it. Well, I go to key up just as I'm going to try to make my first satellite contact, and I key up and the battery just dies out. And they're older batteries, and it happened all weekend. Every time I tried a satellite pass, and I was like, well, maybe I just didn't charge the battery. The last time I used it, I'll charge it up. Next pass, does it again. And so I just got new batteries from DX Engineering. I was surprised that they had them in stock because I went to Batteries America at Hamvention and they said that they were out and that they were no longer available. But DX Engineering and HRO have some dead stock. And so I just got them this past week and and whatnot. So at least hopefully that'll get me that first satellite QSO. It's a goal this year, but yeah, the battery failed. It just kept, and it's like it's 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and you're trying, and it's like, is this going to work this time? Nope.
But I don't
I
know
didn't
that
give
I've
up, but
ever had a failure that I would call fun, Frank.
yeah,
Okay, fair enough.
they're
Frustrating.
learning experiences though. That's
Yeah,
what you gotta look at it.
they're learning experiences.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Good man.
You do it right the first time, every time, right, Steve?
Every time. Well, no, I have a saying. I've said it a couple of times in videos. An adventure is what you get when you didn't get what you planned for.
Mhm.
Yep.
And so
I
I look at
love
failure as an opportunity to learn something new.
I will say I've never been stopped. Right? It's always improvise, adapt, overcome. Find a way to work around it. Just like carrying a car battery into the woods. I
Or
tell
like,
you,
Julie and Vaughn here, they bought a BR316 coax with BNC connectors, took an infed with an SO239, had to cut and hardwire the infed on a lighthouse island. If I remember right, Vaughn, you told Julie not to look and you cut away, right? Yeah. And Patrick, it's good to see you in the chat. To answer that question, if you have banks on your radio, bank 1 is all the simplex channels, bank 2 is all the repeaters. Easy peasy. That's how
He's
I
talking
look
about
at it.
scanning the band and getting digital interference or noise or whatever.
Oh, okay. I missed that part.
Yeah, I have this thing. I haven't done it yet, but I have this thing where all of the repeater inputs and outputs are known. It's just the tones that change and what repeater it is. So just program all the repeaters in with no receive PL tone so that they're wide open on receive, and then just drive around the country, and you shouldn't have to go crazy programming your radio to hear all the different repeaters. I haven't tried it yet, but that's the way it should be.
That's actually what back when I had the older Motorola's, that's what I do. One whole zone is just repeater inputs, the whole repeater list with no PL attached and a specialized button that's called MPL or multiple PL, where you just tap and hold that button, you scroll through, select the tone you want to use, and tap it again, and you're using that repeater.
a lot of radios can scan for those.
This was 20 years ago, Mark.
They couldn't do it then. No.
Yeah, no.
People, the whole, back in my day, my first
Right.
radio was 2 meter, and it was only front panel programming. I don't know if a programming cable existed for it. I don't remember what brand it was at this point. Now you've got those, the Baofengs, everybody, the people, the cheap CCRs people like complaining about. Those are $6 if you order them from the manufacturer. $6. Well, that one will be like $8 or $9.
12.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing what we have available to us at our fingertips these days. We're really fortunate. The prices are getting driven down. The technology just keeps getting better. We just need to find a use for it. I think one of the issues with, quote unquote, dead bands, when I got started, cell phones didn't exist yet. I sold one of the first ones in my first job at Radio Shack. The Motorola Brick is what, the consumers got. So if you wanted to talk to a buddy, radio was the obvious choice. Things have changed. But I think they're still being used. Maybe I'm biased here in Southern California. I hear plenty of traffic if I want to, but.
So that brings up a good topic there, Mark. Now we'll diverge to this track for a second. Metro areas, LA, San Francisco Bay, Sacramento area, Seattle, Portland, Tucson, Phoenix, you name it. They tend to have the more activity on 652 than any simplex than anywhere else. And, I'm at the far north end of the Bay Area, as you know, and 2 meters dead up here. We have 3 repeaters, and that's it. There's nobody on simplex. You go down into the heart of the Bay, there's some activity. But LA is, LA, Chicago, Phoenix, those are all hot spots. Why is it that we don't branch out more?
Statistics, there's more people there.
Fair.
Ham
But
density.
We're a
That's what
herding
I always
animal.
say. It's ham density. It's do you
Right.
have enough hams, and do you have enough hams that are on those bands or using those modes?
we have an even simpler answer, Frank. It's because you're there and you're not on them calling out. CQ.
It's your fault, Frank.
We have
Fair.
someone to blame in this
Yeah.
call,
Come on,
and
Frank.
that is just fabulous.
Yeah, we get to blame Frank. Hi, Jim. You came in just in time. um. Okay, so here's a. I know he's lurking. He's got to be lurking. Corky James is always lurking. I came up with 5 quirky 2-meter facts to sprinkle in throughout the live stream. This one's the rooftop bounce. Signals can bounce off skyscrapers so much that you might talk to someone around the corner without using line of sight.
And water towers, and planes and helicopters.
Mhm.
Is that what they call knife edge refraction?
Yes, it is. And it's quite interesting, especially like when you're in the heart of a city and, New York, San Francisco, LA, you're down, like deep in downtown and the skyscrapers are, 30, 40 stories tall, whatever. And I know they're taller than that. But yeah, you hit one building, hit another, and then talk to the person across the street from you.
Yeah. We get multipath from helicopters when they're doing fire ops. It makes the signal harder to hear.
That makes sense. All right. How about a urban RF challenge or experimental antenna and tactics? Which do you guys want to go with?
You said urban
Experimental
challenge or
tactics.
experimental? We got to do experimental.
Okay. What's your most successful stealth or experimental antenna setup for 2 meters?
Experimental, I think, what not everybody, but a lot of people have made the 2-meter tape measure antenna.
Oh, yeah.
I made one before I knew that this was way back in the 90s again. I got all of this brass tubing, the K&M tubing down at the Ace Hardware store, and I made my own on a dowel rod. It was my first Yagi-Uda. I have no idea what happened to it. I'm sure it's in the landfill at this point. But it's just, you get to make stuff. It's great. It's fun.
Anyone else?
Yeah, mine was I built a vertical dipole, a 2-meter dipole, oriented at vertical, to take to my parents' house because at that point they were in an HOA, and I threw my throw bag up on top of a tree, drug that dipole, 70 foot in the air, then run some really cheap coax down the tree and stapled it at the bottom so it drew tight so nobody could see it. Worked like a champ.
That's a great way to do it. Mike or Steve?
I'm getting a photo to share, so
Okay.
come back to me in just a second.
I'm looking for a video to share. You're talking about the
I was going to do that
wildest,
next.
I'm going to share
right.
it.
the wildest 2-meter antenna ever that I've used. It was a evil
Mark's
black rifle.
highlighted. Mark, what do you got there?
So this is not 2-meter, but you can do the same thing. This is a J-pole, and I've actually got a fistful of these because I'm trying to see how I can, how accurately they go from one to the other. This is also for Firewatch, where I spend most of my time. But it's just a wire, and you just cut it and you trim it and you get your little VNA set up, and you can make your own antenna. And the only difference between this one for 70 centimeters and 2 meters is the 2-meter one's going to be longer. But there's nothing to it. The only thing stopping you is yourself. And I did little 3D printed spacers, but this could be a piece of cardboard or tape. It doesn't matter. You're just trying to create a little bit of uniformity there. Go out and make an antenna.
There you go. All right, T.O.
I'm still looking for the video. I was saying I have a evil black rifle antenna.
Oh, yeah. Mike?
All right, let me pull up. Okay, how do I? Oh, am I gonna
Jim, thank you. Apparently, Jim tagged everybody in Discord.
He did.
So
I'm
we've
trying to
doubled our
look how to
viewers.
see how I upload a image.
Probably going to have to do the share screen function.
Oh, okay. All right, let me get it up.
I
All
don't
right,
know.
there's that. I got that up. So now I do the share screen.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jim.
And
You're good ham, bro.
all right, let's see if this works.
All right. Add to scene.
Is it working?
Yep.
Here it is. Okay.
Nice.
So this is a folded skeleton sleeve dipole for 2 meters and 6 meters.
See, now you're just making names up.
I heard about this thing in a club presentation, and you can make it for any two combinations of bands. You got a driven and a parasitic element. In this case, it's cut for the weak signal, the lower end of 6 and 2. And it's done for 6 and 2 because there are SSB nets on 6 and 2 weekly in the Rochester region where I am. So I figured, hey, this is something I can use with my 705 that'll work for either 6 or 2. And
so, Mike, what was the name of that antenna again, John?
It's a folded skeleton sleeve dipole.
There you go.
Never ever heard of that.
I will share a link to the build I did on it. And some ham has gone to the trouble to put a lot of the calculations in there for what the correct measurements are. And I shared it in the video because it was just a couple snips on some ladder line, which you can see. And like I said, it's in this case, the 2 meter element's parasitic, the 6 meter element's what's driven. There's a longer element on top, a shorter one on the bottom. And then if you see something dangling and partway down the PVC, that's a choke. I just used like an empty, and this is like one of the most hammy Northeast things I did. It was like this empty can of maple cream, like this maple butter stuff, but it was the perfect dimensions and width to wrap the coax around for a 6 meter choke. So, yeah, it worked fine. I've used it a couple times on nets. I brought it out for a POTA on 6 and 2 and whatnot. So, and it was just like, wow, this is cool because you get the benefits of a dipole when you're talking about radiation patterns. If you have multi-band antennas, you could use an NFET half wave or a random wire. You go to different bands, you're going to start to get different radiation patterns and lobes, but this should be pretty consistent for a dipole on both 6 and 2, which is nice. In the VHF space especially, you tend to pay a lot more attention to your radiation patterns and directionality and stuff. So yeah, I'll share a link in the chat in a minute when I find the link to the video on the channel. But yeah, folded skeleton sleeve dipole. And if you do some look at some of the links on the channel, you'll see some measurements. You could do a longer one for 20 and 40 or 30 and 15 or whatever you want to do.
Fantastic. And
Yeah.
John says, and it makes your RF smell like pancakes.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with maple cream or maple butter.
That is interesting. It reminds me a little bit of one of Ed Fong's folded J-poles, but not really. I haven't seen that before. That skeleton sleeve. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, Mark, what's this link you just dropped?
I just Googled the first thing I could find that said folded skeleton sleeve so people could kind of get an idea of how it's made because I'd never heard of it before.
Oh, you have mod privileges in chat. You can drop that in chat if you're. I know you're lurking in chat.
I'm not actually. I should be.
Oh, okay.
I just shared the link to my video, and then I have, I
go.
think, some of the links in the description. That probably some of the ones that you found on it. So
Another fun one, the extended double ZEP.
For 2 meters?
Oh,
I mean, there's no reason you couldn't.
yeah. I may or may not have one in here. I'm not entirely sure. I will return shortly.
Okay. Well, wait.
But leaves his mic hot. Perfect.
I did. I'm going to make noise.
That's it. I can fix that. There we go.
He's going to take a leak.
So we were talking about ham satellites earlier. Oh, Mark's back already. Okay. That's solo Mark.
So you've just got the parts of a dipole, and then you've got this little capacitive part here where they connect together. And then a tie point, and depending on where you tie, where you tie these is where you tune it. So I just have the
oh, nice.
the enamel scraped away, so that'll slide up and down there. So, yeah.
Mark,
That's
Mark,
pretty cool.
I gotta ask: is that legal in California?
Is what legal in California?
What
Oh,
you're
you needed to
holding?
make it wood grain, not black. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, now you've
exactly.
shouldered it. Do you have a tax stamp for that?
You got to look
no,
on the other. All the warnings are on the other side.
Here,
Right.
felony, right here. I just
Yeah.
committed a felony.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. These are aluminum balusters, like the 3/4 inch rail
Say, they look like
balusters.
broom handles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a broom handle. You just make them out of whatever you want to make them out of. So go make an antenna.
There we go. Jedi John got it right. It's an assault antenna.
Tactical. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Tactical.
There we go.
It's a tactical broom.
Instead of a brie, is it a broom?
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't quit your day job, Mike.
You'll be here all week, folks. Don't forget to tip your waitress.
Yeah.
So Mike, is that or Mark, is that standard or extended fully semi-auto?
It's a double extended, fully semi-automatic antenna.
There you go.
Fully
Jim.
semi-automatic.
Thankfully,
fully
this
pew-pew.
channel's not monetized yet, so I'm not worried. Oh, here. Okay, so here's a good one. Have you found any sweet spots where signals behave better than expected? Like, do you get a repeater?
Better than
in those-
expected.
Get a
Like-
repeater you
like-
shouldn't have
like a-
gotten.
Like a good example for me is thanks to tropospheric ducting over the last day and a half, I've gotten a repeater
Oh, Mike.
here at the QTH that I should not be getting at all.
But was that expected or unexpected?
Unexpected.
Okay.
So, what's your sweet spot where signals behave better than expected? It can be simplex, or in this case, we'll go with repeater. We'll allow repeaters for now.
You have that sweet spot anytime that temperature drops about 25, 30 degrees during the course of 24 hours. And it can get really crazy.
That's what happened here. It went from 95 to 70 like it saw a trooper. Anyone else?
That's
I mean,
just
I've gotten a fair share of ducting. It's, when I'm on at certain times of the year when I'm on the lake, and when I say the Lake Ontario, so one of the Great Lakes, and this is prime ducting season right now for lots of the Great Lake region and lots of the Atlantic coast and in the Gulf. This time the transition from the summer to the fall, September is great for tropo.
Yeah, once it gets started here, if I keep my APRS up and running, if I keep an eye on it, especially during the really big swings, I hear APRS stations, directly out of Florida, Georgia, Alabama, all over. And that's several hundred miles.
When you say here, what do you mean by here?
Greenwood, upstate South Carolina.
Upstate. Okay. Because that makes a difference. You could have been in Florida hearing signals from Florida. That wouldn't have been impressive at all.
Okay. Yeah, we don't get a lot of tropospheric ducting out here in Northern California. I know Gordo down there in SoCal gets it quite a bit, and so Mark gets it a lot too.
Yeah, but I'm not on it enough to notice.
The first time I got it, I did not know what was going on. I was so confused because I'm thinking, is this line of sight because I'm just going across the lake like 80 to 100 miles, or is with an HT, or is this
You can't.
the ducting that I read about, like when I was testing and everything? And but the first time it happened, I was doing a channel scan on a TV in my in-laws' cottage, and I realized stations back home in Rochester, 100 plus miles away, were coming in. I was like, these shouldn't be coming in. And then I thought for a minute, and I was like, wait, that might mean that there's an opening. And I grabbed my HT, and it did not work when I got to the cottage the day before. But that morning I was like, and I was getting into repeaters 80 to 100 miles away, and I was like, is this really happening? And yeah, I read a little bit more about it later that day, and I was like, yeah, no, this was it. And then sure enough, like later in the day, nothing. It was like it's just gone, and back again, gone again. But it was neat when I realized how I discovered it, or realized it because of, doing a channel scan on a TV, something as basic as that, kind of cluing me in that there might be an opening and stuff. But it's fun when you get them. That's for sure.
Hollywood, the bringer of all knowledge here. Mike is correct. Spring and fall are most frequent for tropo over water. The ocean or Great Lake is slow to change temp, so there's more delta between it and the air above.
Yep.
So the only place I could hit then would be Hawaii, potentially.
Yeah, or Santa Catalina, or
Well, Catalina I can hit any day of the week. I can see Catalina.
Yeah, that's true. You can, can't you?
Um,
that hop over into the high desert. That's the struggle for you.
So I guess I'd either have to watch the weather or watch some reports. I've never heard Hawaii. I remember when I was a kid, when I first got into this, I heard Arizona and talked to Arizona a little bit. So that must have been a tropospheric duct, or somebody's telling me they were in Arizona. I have no idea which one was which. But
or early days of IRLP Echo Link.
We didn't have linked repeaters then.
You don't need linked repeaters, just 56K dial-up modem, and IRLP was good to go.
No, buddy, we didn't have 56K dial-up modems. I remember when I had a HP 48G calculator, and it had 9600 baud modem built into it, which was faster than my home internet.
That's sad. That's fun, but that's sad.
That's the way it was.
Yeah.
BBSs and
but Dave here has it right. When you see a massive temperature inversion, from 95 down to 70, look for that ducting. That's when it will take place, it seems like. All right, here's a fun one. We might go a little over the hour, so if anyone has to drop, feel free to do so. Rob is coming up in an hour, Digital Rancher, so my channel is automatically set to redirect to him for his late shift. Rubber Duck Legends, a tiny handheld antenna, aka rubber ducks, if we don't know what those are, has been known to beat full-size rooftop antennas under the right conditions. Has anyone experienced that?
No.
Say that again.
A rubber duck beats your 13-element Yagi on the roof under the right conditions.
Maybe is your Yagi pointed in the wrong direction?
Yeah.
Or here's one for you. If you have a multi-element, like Frank, you've got like a 13-element.
Yep.
The Q on that is so high that you're only able to transmit from like 144 to 145 and not have huge losses. So if you're up at the high end of the band, maybe that's what's happening. Maybe there's just a ton of loss. Other than that, I would ask for clarification.
So my Q, I'll tell you right now, I actually had to do the math on this. My Q is not even that. Where is it? We're not even that large. I have 143.5 kilohertz bandwidth between 147.12 and 147.27 for a perfect SWR no reflected power match on that 13-element Yagi.
What happens up at the end of the band? What are you seeing?
Goes right back up. After I exit those 2 points, either 147.122 and lower or 271 and higher, it starts to drop off and my SWR comes back up.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd ask for clarification then.
So you're saying under the right conditions, is this where you're like accidentally standing at the exact right point of a 27-element Yagi?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Or are you talking more like elevation changes? Like here in the foothills of the mountains, a 5/8 wave antenna, especially around most of here, is going to be almost worthless to you, whereas little short quarter wave, due to the takeoff angle, works great.
Yeah.
See, That okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's basically, a rubber duck, the quarter wave in this case, works better than the 5/8 wave. And that's just under the right conditions.
And
Yeah.
I think it depends what you're trying to do with it too, because polarization matters, and if you're doing weak signal stuff and people are running horizontal, then you're looking at a huge loss in dB if there's cross polarization for line of sight contacts.
Yeah.
That changes if you're doing if you're getting skip on 6 or something. That changes. I don't know how ducting affects the polarization, but it matters. It makes a huge difference. And so that's why I'd say it depends, I guess, on what you're trying to do. If you're just trying to receive and you want something that's omnidirectional, then I could then sure, I guess, but if you're talking transmit and you're trying to work a particular mode where polarization matters, or you're trying to get out in a particular direction, if you don't want to aim towards Hawaii and you want to try to get in a different direction, then you need something that's going to be directional. So I guess it depends what are you trying to do with it, and is the first thing. But I'd be skeptical that a duck would be a Yagi. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
But again, I guess it depends on what you're trying to do. So
If both are used optimally, if both are used in the way they're intended.
Yeah, we'll go with that. So, let's.
One more, then I gotta go, buddy.
Okay, well, it is your birthday weekend, so I'll let you go with that. If just for you, Mark, if aliens landed in your city, how would you demo ham radio portable ops to them? They know what ham radio is. They speak perfect English. How would you demo it?
Frank, that is a very interesting question, and probably what I would do is give them a radio. I would take a radio, and then I would just make up things that are just false, just because it would amuse me. Like I would tell them that my call sign is Bunny Head and theirs is Bunny Butt. And no, Frank, honest to God, buddy, that's a weird one. I guess the only correct answer to that question is I would show them Boondock Echo with that, guys.
There you go. Can I hear Boondock Echo?
I'm going to let you guys figure that one out. And I thank you very much for inviting me on.
Well, thanks for being here, Mark. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.
So, who else?
I would simply go to 7.2 and just look at them and just say, tell me, why are you wasting your time here?
No. I know exactly how I would do it. I would record a video and set it to premiere while I was on my way out of town.
That's one way to do it. Steve?
How do you get people interested in portable ops? You just go out and you make it look fun. I mean, you don't correct them too much. Don't be like 17 coaches all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Pack a lunch. Go to an exciting park. Go to. We were talking earlier about what's the right thing to say when you get on the air and mic fright and all that stuff. And one of the things that I tell people is just say whatever comes to your mind. I mean, you're trying to put some noise in the airwaves. Like, don't be uptight about it. It must not. It must be this exact protocol. You must say these exact words, or someone's going to shoot you. It's not like that. Like if you watch any of the POTA videos that my daughter did, she just talks crazy talk, and people come back and answer her, and she makes all the don't be pedantic. Who?
Yeah.
Me? not to split hairs, Jim, but you spelled pedantic right. I know he's already checking himself.
Oh, I know.
Just make it fun. That's the whole thing. Is it's more about enjoying yourself than it is about being ridiculous, being a drill sergeant. There's a place for that, but that's not ham radio.
Fantastic. Well, we're just over 2 minutes in overtime. I'm going to leave it at this. We're going to go around the horn real quick. I'm going to issue a challenge to, and Mark's probably going to catch this on Team Replay, but I'll message him anyway. I'm going to issue a challenge to you three as well as everybody in the chat. Similar challenge that Jason Ham Radio 2.0 has issued. Get out there, get on 2 Meter Simplex, call CQ. Just keep calling and calling and calling, even if it's every 5 minutes, every half hour. Get out there and call CQ on your way to work, on your way home. Doesn't matter. Going out to the grocery store, call CQ. Have fun. See what drum up simplex activity, and if you want, do some sideband. Post to your local Facebook groups, post to your next door group, post to Twitter, Instagram, whatever. You know, get it
Put it
out
on your
there,
OnlyFans account.
right? Get it out there. Be like, hey, I'm calling on 5-2. Will you help me call on 5-2, and let's get a conversation started. So that's my personal challenge for everyone. Let's get more 5-2 activity through the end of the year, and I want to check in towards the end of the year and see how everyone's done. Maybe we'll see. Mike, what do you got coming up?
I got a happy hour live stream with the guys from the Northeast tomorrow, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern time, before Josh's live stream. But if I want to share this nugget of joy real quick, since it's very relative
Wrong show.
with the 2 meter discussion, what you were just talking about, Frank. So I finally got around after 4 years of being a ham to putting a mobile in the car. And the first day that I have it in, and I put it in last Wednesday. It was on WinLink Wednesday. That's how I remember. I put it in, and I'm all excited to finally talk on the repeater. And I got a short commute into work, and I'm leaving, and got the radio on, and I'm like, I'm going to call out on the repeater as soon as I get on the highway. And I hear somebody say N2MAK, and I forget his call. He threw out his call. He's like, you listening? And I was like, yeah. I thought he saw my license plate. And he's like, I'm out at the Lock 32 3-fer doing a POTA on 2 meters. I wanted to see if you were listening and if I could get you in the log. I was like, sure. I'll switch to 5-2.
Here I am.
And here the guy's out doing a POTA, and now it was the bicentennial for the Erie Canal this past week, so there's a lot of POTA activations going on. But I worked him on 2 and 70 from the car. There's a POTA 3-fer. I got home, I got my son on the radio real quick. My son was his 10th contact, and and at the end of the day, like, part of this is happening because somebody's trying, and somebody's listening and responding. And you just be surprised what happens when you try different things, and when you're there to to help others out, or just listen. So that's my nugget of joy. It just happened this last week, and it just blew my mind. The first day I put a radio in the car, I get a POTA 3-fer in the log.
Just like you were the first contact on 5-2 for that new ham.
Yeah,
comes full circle.
Exactly, it does. Karma.
John has it right. 5-2
Tuesdays.
Yeah, let's do that. That's something. Dave, what about you?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot coming up. Today started my son's 2-week fall break from school, so we're gonna do some adventuring and vacationing. And just to kind of touch on the VHF simplex thing, so you've excluded everybody like me here. You can look up my call sign there and look up the zip code. I'm one of 3 hams in my entire area and the only one that's active.
Oh wow!
It's 96 South Carolina isn't very big.
GTO's so shocked he zoomed in on himself.
Right?
See that?
That's the ham density. You are the ham density.
Yeah,
you were looking at it. I am the ham.
The density
is
what?
2 meters
isn't
anyway.
The density of water one.
But also, like, there are times I can get on the, even the large repeater here. 2 out of 5 times I can get on that repeater and still not talk to anybody because there's just nobody here. But I also enjoy driving through the big areas and getting to talk on simplex. And you get to Atlanta, Miami, Orlando, Huntsville. I love it.
Absolutely. I hear Huntsville's great for 5-2 regardless what time of year it is. T.O., what about you?
What's coming up on my channel? I've got this e-ink weather display. I don't know if the camera's
saw that photo. I can't wait to see this.
There it is. Yeah, it's hiding up there. And just finished it up this morning, got it uploaded, and probably a week or so before the video goes public. Because I've got like 10 videos in the queue, and I still do 3 a week.
I was going to mention something on Twitter, but having you here tonight, you should change it from Home Sweet Home to Ohm Sweet Home.
There you go.
There you go. David Pickles has it right. Just call CQ on the repeater like Hayden. That'll bring everybody out.
It's actually not illegal to do it. It's just
No.
old farts complain about it.
Exactly. So go out there, call CQ on your repeaters, and have
Hey, you
fun
answered, didn't you? Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I have NorCal Swap every Thursday. Let's see here. Next week is my first Friday Q&A AMA, so I have that going on. There we go. Here, let's solo Steve for a second. There we go.
I'm trying to get the reflection. There it is. Get the reflection off of it.
Nice temperature there too.
Yeah, for
awesome.
Arizona in September. It's because it's rained all day.
No, that's why. So every Thursday, NorCal Swap, come see if I get jammed out. You never know what you're going to hear on the NorCal Swap, apparently. And that's Friday is my Q&A. So, yeah, Jim, so am I. I'm glad. I even told Dave, pants are necessary. So there you go. With that, folks, everybody wave bye, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Let's see. There's the outro.